So while working on the firebolt, I had to figure out the kickstand. So while looking through my scrap bucket, I thought I would change gears that day and give making a wand a shot. So for fun, I grabbed a scrap piece of mahogany and decided to break out the lathe. Now after speaking with a friend, I was told that Dumbledore's wand was very popular, so this was my first test run. My goal is to get the basics down of making something so skinny on the lathe, and then shoot for the Cornelius Fudge wand. This is the wand that my friend said is the hardest to find. So I will figure out how this works, and then my next wand will be that. I know in the end that this wand is not perfect, but I only spent an hour on it, so I'll hold off on your critiques. I will come back and make Dumbledore's wand to perfection when I get this down pat. So for starters, I took the wood and ran it until I thought it was as thin as I thought the outer bulbs were. I'm not really sure what these things are called. Then I would mark off where each bulb was on the wand. There are a total of 6. I didn't do any fancy measuring here. I guesstimated that the wand is about 18 inches long due to a picture of Dumbledore with the wand up to his forehead. There is no real math here. I am just holding the picture of the wand and guessing where each bulb is. After I have my starter marks, I turn on the lathe and continue to mark all the way around the wand with the pencil. Once that is done, I can continue to thin out the areas between the bulbs. I thin out the areas between the marks. I decided not to go too small, as this was just my first practice run. I will make this a lot thinner on the final product. I continue to run a little bit of sandpaper on the wood, just to ensure that I keep it smooth, and then I move on. I have the ability to make this a lot thinner, but for now I will just leave it as is. Now to me, this wand appears to be a bone. I'm not really sure. I'm positive some of you experts will quickly let me know in the comments below. So, for the pock marks on the bone, I will just use a drill to place them into the bulbs. I used 3 different size drill bits for this process. That way, I would have a varying degree of hole sizes. I know I got the end all wrong. I should have looked back at the picture, but I was having so much fun I just kept cutting. I cut the end and then the tip away from the excess bulk. I will try and correct the end with my Dremel. I rounded the end and then I rounded the tip. And then I needed to take it to the workbench to see if I could make the end look a little bit better. I drew out the grooves on the end of the wand, and then with a Dremel, I simply gouged out the notches that were needed to add the gaps in the end of the wand. Now to stain it. Okay, so like I said before, I think that this wand is a bone. I'm not positive, but it sure looks like one. So I took out some white wood stain that I used on my kitchen cabinets, and I stained the dark mahogany wood white. This was the real reason I chose the mahogany stick over the oak stick, because in the end I wanted it to have a dark base to contrast with the white outer layer. Once that dried, I wanted the bony holes to have an even darker contrast, so I pulled out some Bombay mahogany stain. This is the stuff I use on my shadow boxes. I rubbed it right over the white stain and tried to get as much of it in the bone holes as I possibly could. After it had ample time to dry, I came back one more time and applied another layer of white wood stain. This gave it that perfect bony look that I was hoping for. So this was my first attempt. I will make the next one much thinner and include the funky writing where Dumbledore holds the wand. But first, let me get back to finishing that firebolt broom. Thanks for watching and hit that thumbs up button.